Angle in the first. Watch out.
Look at this. Upton pops it up. Left side, Elvis Andrus is backpedaling. He is under it. He puts it away. The Texas Rangers have won a postseason series.
The Texas Rangers are American League champions. One swing. It's tied! Garcia sends one forward. Nelson's corner. He's at the wall. And the legend grows! It's time! The Texas Rangers win the World Series!
Hi, and welcome to another edition of Right on Rangers Live, coming at you bottom of the ninth inning. Texas hanging on by a thread, but all-star closer Jacob Latz on the mound. One pitch in the bottom of the eighth inning is all Latzy needed to get out of the trouble that he inherited. Not much trouble, honestly. Junis, gave up one base runner. Easy peasy. Jacob Latz, though, needing 3 outs here to get the Rangers even at 1 apiece in this series. We're going to bring you the rest of the ninth. And, of course, we got a great post-game show planned. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you're having a good Saturday so far. Right now, Albies up to bat. He is 0 for 3 on the day. Fouls one off here. Weird game, isn't it? Crazy game. You've got the highs and the lows of the whole entire 2026 season, really, all within these 9 innings here. You had a bit of a starting pitcher meltdown. You have a great comeback. You got a little pop, a little power. Little bit of everything for everybody in this one. Thank you for hanging out. We've got a 1-2 count. Albies going to foul this one off. And then he will go down with another strike swinging here. So 1-2. Here comes the pitch. I don't know how he hit this one, but he did, and that is out number 1. That was crazy bat-to-ball skills by Ozzy Albies. Doesn't pay off. I need to see a replay on that. How did he even hit that? That is crazy. Oh, my goodness. Wild, man. Absolutely wild. I will take it. Jacob Latz, of course, fresh off an appearance in the All-Star game, striking out Luis Arraez. I know some people are saying maybe future Ranger Luis Arraez. I don't know. I wouldn't mind it. Shoot, I tweeted out earlier in this game, man, after Mackenzie Gore put the Rangers in a big hole, I'm like, see why I got to be on the phone with San Francisco as we speak right now. Give me Arraez. How about a little Robbie Ray? I don't think we are going to be getting Logan Webb. I know some people were throwing him out there. And I've always said, I don't think the Rangers need to go get like a number 1 ace. I mean, if they want to go get Tarek Skubal, be my guest. But I'll just take a solid number 3 guy, man. I will take a solid number 3. I don't need them to go get the cream of the crop and in the trade starting pitching market. Just give me a guy that I know is most likely not going to have a total meltdown every other game. And look, Gore, to his credit, he pitched well enough to keep Texas in the game once we started scoring runs. But ideally, you don't want to give up 5. You don't want to give up 5 in 2 or 3 innings, whatever it was. Yeah, look, this is the issue for sure. The issue is you just can't get consistency when it comes to Mackenzie Gore. We've said that for so many times, man. Like, it's just an issue of him being able to string together 3, 4, 5 solid starts in a row. Jacob Latz, 2-2 count right here. Pitch. We're going to run this count full. Joy. Oh, joy. Come on, Latsy. You got this, baby. Drop a comment, drop a question, y'all. I'll definitely be checking as we go along with the show. A lot more in the post-game show. He got him swinging. Yes, he did. Jacob Latz gets the big threat here. Matt Olson goes down. Little sword check swing there. Kind of a similar pitch, honestly, to what he got a rise on in the All-Star game, if you were watching that. Let's keep rolling. Jackson, what's good, man? Both Jacksons. Monty, I think, will be ready within the next couple of weeks. I do think Montgomery will be back within the next couple here. I think he's starting tomorrow. I think Cody Bradford starts tonight. I think Montgomery is starting tomorrow for AAA Round Rock. If I'm not mistaken, I thought I saw that from some of the beat writers earlier this morning. All right, we got 1-1 count. Cut Gore, yeah, they're not going to do that. I don't even know what if you tried to trade Gore, I don't even really know if you could get a whole lot, to be completely honest. Like, you know, that's kind of sad. I do think you'd be able to get something, but definitely nothing close to what you got originally. That's 2 high pitches in a row, and Harris is going to be in a bit of a favorable count here. Come on. Rangers rallied in the 6th inning, scored 4 runs. Evan Carter with a huge 2-run blast. This ball's popped up in the air. And that was the one that Latsy kind of got away with a little bit. Wyatt Langford makes the catch. Cue the I Like Texas music. LON column. The Rangers get back on track. Somehow, some way, they use a 6th inning rally, score 4 runs, capped by a Brandon Nimmo bases loaded knock. Evan Carter with a 2-run bomb to tie up the game at 5. Braves kicked the ball around a little bit. 2 errors from them today. Rangers had a total of 12 hits on the afternoon. Now, that's what I like to see, baby. 12 base knocks on the afternoon. Look, clearly, Chris Sale, really, really good at his job. You saw, I think, the pitching for the Braves come back down to earth a little bit here. You know, you had, obviously, Murphy not having his best day, gave up 5 hits, 2 walks. Murphy's a rookie. Rangers did well to take advantage. You did not want to lose this game in the series. Like, you know, the Braves throwing the rookie today, kind of doing the bullpen game thing, just not the game you wanted to lose. And when the Rangers go down 4-1, man, and then eventually it was 5-3, you definitely were concerned. And I think it's still fair to be concerned about Mackenzie Gore. You know, Gore did not have a good game today. Yeah, I'm sure he's going to get the Skip Schumacher compliment, keeping us in the game, all that good stuff. But, you know, if I could be completely honest, y'all, I am just at a little bit of a loss for Mackenzie. Why he's not able to figure this out. I mean, look, I don't know if anybody has done a super deep dive on this. Maybe I'm going to have to, but it's almost inexplicable. I know that he has not been, you know, lockdown guy for the last 2 or 3 years. He had a nice year last year, but it is wild how he has not quite been able to put it together. We'll do more on that later, but let's enjoy this win, man. You had a lot of great performances today, especially on the offensive side. Brandon Nimmo just on an all-time heater right now. Just on an all-time heater. Let's talk about Nims a little bit here. So when he got his first hit of the ball game, I posted Nimmo 9 for his last 22. 9 for his last 22. And I think now he's 10 for his last 25. 10 for his last 25. Batting .400. Got an OPS over 1,100 in his last 7 games. This feels like a bit of an all-time heater for Brandon Nimmo. It really does. Feels like we've got an all-time heater on our hands. Nimmo is known to do this. I know that in my back and forths with Mets fans, positive interactions, you know, a lot of them telling me, man, you're going to love Brandon Nimmo. Nimmo definitely has dipped a little bit over the last couple of months. I think There's other things that people were focusing on. Brandon Nimmo definitely went through a little bit of a cold streak, but ever since that Angels series, Nimmo has really been a new hitter, been a new man up at the dish. And like we were saying, 10 hits in his last 25 at bats, 7 RBI in his last 7 games. This is the guy you would love to have kind of tandem with Wyatt Langford without Corey Seager. You'd really like for Langford and Nimmo to take charge and really make a difference in this offense. I think if you can get Brandon Nimmo doing his thing, you can get Brandon Nimmo really, really in a groove, it's going to make a big difference. I think when you're hitting in the spot that Brandon Nimmo's hitting at in the order, and you're going 0 for 4, 0 for 5, we say this a lot of nights when the Rangers drop a game. You're not going to win a lot of games when the guys that you have routinely hitting 3, 4, 5 are going 0 for. And so Brandon Nimmo, hopefully this can continue to ride out through the Chicago series. Rangers have a couple of tough series back-to-back to start the second half after the All-Star break. You would love to see Brandon Nimmo, month-long heater. Give me 3 good weeks, baby. I would love to see that. Would love it. Hey, Zachary, appreciate the gift, man. Not needed, but much appreciated, my guy. Zach, thank you for the generosity, truly. Lats has faced 4 All-Stars this week and retired them all. I love it, man. That is a great stat. Lats, man, he just is on a different level. I mean, who would have thought that this is what we would be talking about when it comes to Jacob Lats? Who would have thought we would be talking about this guy? I mean, he's definitely known, I think, coming into this year, having potential, having upside. Nobody saw this coming. And I've joked so many times over the last 4 or 5 weeks, however long, Latsy has been just excellent. I think it was late April he took over, right? So really May and June and 2.5 months. Yeah, Jacob Lats, this is something nobody saw coming. I don't even think the front office, I know the front office didn't see this coming. Otherwise, they would have made this move a lot sooner than late April. I mean, look, they were hoping this guy was going to be a solid 5th starter. Jacob Lats just deserves all the flowers for what he is doing. The all-star appearance, well-deserved, and he just picks up right where he left off in the first half, coming out, getting that 4-out save. I think he is up there. I think he leads MLB in 4-out saves or multiple inning saves. There was a number of different really cool stats about Lats that I looked up as I was making some of my videos about him last week. Can't sing his praises enough. You cannot sing that guy's praises enough. Yeah, look, I'm with you on this, my guy. I mean, look, you worry sometimes, are guys going to get cold over the All-Star break? I am so glad that Brandon Nimmo, for whatever reason, has decided this is his month to start absolutely raking. It was a little bit of a bare month of June, and even May was only okay. July has been a good month for Brandon Nimmo. Absolutely. Do we have an update on Seager? Hey, appreciate you, my guy. Thanks for the comment. Always good to see you. I think what I heard, what I gathered, and of course the Rangers, they always keep everything close to the chest. One of my criticisms about the club, like there's no reason with Corey Seager to not be anything but detailed and specific. I mean, look, there's a lot of fans that care about this, and I just don't understand. There's never really a super huge benefit to keeping the injuries and keeping the ailments under wraps. It does not give any team a competitive advantage whatsoever, man. It really doesn't. I don't understand why the Rangers choose to do this. It feels like you could be a lot more forthcoming. I mean, even Junis getting activated. Didn't it feel like the Junis activation came out of nowhere? I mean, look, did I miss something? It felt like Junis is activated today. Like, I felt like the Junis news was just totally out of left field. I mean, look, I figured maybe he would be doing some kind of rehab stint. I'm glad he's back. Don't get me wrong. But I just kind of felt like, why are we just suddenly hearing about this? Like, I did not really have any clue that he was just going to be coming back out of nowhere. I think I heard he was progressing well. I think I heard that he was doing well, but yeah, beyond that, shoot. I feel like the Rangers just really try, too hard to just keep things secretive. Bringing it all full circle, though, to the Seager. I think he's on this program where he has to have 7 days without issue, and I think he's had a couple of days where he's had to reset that 7-day period. I really do feel like it's going to be a second before he comes back. That's my take. I could be totally wrong. I just feel like it's going to be a second before that guy comes back. I feel like back issues are just so fickle. They're so volatile. I don't feel like he's going to be back super soon. And you do wonder, are they going to do a rehab stint for him? You would think that they probably are, but I don't know. They haven't done it all the time in the past. So I feel like if we get Corey Seager back by mid-August, that's a win. And maybe it's like closer to late August, September. I could be way off here, y'all, but I just feel like it's going to be a little bit on Seager. I really do. I hope to be wrong, but back injuries, back issues, just no joke. Look, we've seen Evan Carter deal with back issues. It can just be very, very finicky, very fickle, and I'm not holding my breath. I think that Seager plays again this year. I know there's some people out there that feel like he is not going to be playing again in 2026. I don't feel that way, but I do think it's probably going to be about another month before we see him back in a Rangers uniform. We keep going. Evan Carter, let's talk about him, man. Let's talk about Carter. Look, you guys know on the show, I have been hard on Evan Carter. I've been hard on him. He had a great game today, and we got to give the man his flowers. Look, you guys, obviously, I say this all the time. You hang out with me almost every Rangers game. You know how it works. But obviously, there's a lot of people just getting the one-shot posts here and there. Look, I like Evan Carter a lot. I love the player, the person. But obviously, he's not hitting very well this year. It's not been a great year at the plate for Evan. He had a great day at the plate today. Obviously had a bunt single, put the ball in play, good things happen, had a huge home run. You got to give Evan Carter props, and you got to give him flowers for what he did today. He needs to get hot for the Rangers to really want to do something special. I think I put out a video, a couple of days ago. It was during the All-Star break, and I just said, Evan Carter to me is one of those dudes that if they can figure out a way to get him right and get him doing this consistently at the plate, they are going to, I think, just open up a lot of potential. Now, are they going to win the World Series? I don't know. Let's see what they do at the trade deadline. But if you can get Evan Carter back to not even 2023 mode, but maybe even like a step or a tier below 2023 mode, that's so huge. It really is. If you can get Evan Carter back, it is going to improve this team's chances exponentially. Right now, Evan Carter feels like kind of a depth role player, right? And so having him be an actual presence in the lineup, game changer, season changer, potentially. And I'm not trying to overreact. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic just because he had a good game today. And on the flip side, neither am I willing to, proclaim, I was wrong all along. Everybody that stood behind Evan, you're totally validated because he had one good game. Absolutely not. Evan Carter's got to do this consistently, man. He's got to do this consistently. Let me get a little heater from Evan. Let me get a little 2-3 week hot stretch where he's hitting over 300. There's still way too many people, in my humble opinion, that are really giving Evan too much of a handicap. Way too much of a handicap. This is a guy that was supposed to be a big-time offensive contributor. They were counting. You can't tell me for a second the front office was not counting on Evan Carter to be a presence in this lineup. They were not counting on him just to be defensive, elite guy in center field. And you know what? He walks, but really doesn't hit a whole lot. Look, I want to keep it positive, but I just want to remind everybody, and this I shared this stat with you guys. I think it was right before the All-Star break. Okay, Evan Carter on the season has 44 hits, and that, by the way, is in, I believe, 272 plate appearances. 44 hits in 272 plate appearances. Alejandro Osuna, he has had significantly less plate appearances, almost 100 less plate appearances. Alejandro Osuna has a total of 42 hits on the season. Evan Carter has 2 more hits than Alejandro Osuna, who has nearly, and I know I'm exaggerating a little bit with the 100 number. I don't want to do the fast math on the fly. It's like at least 75 more plate appearances. Like, I think that puts it in perspective. Now, you guys have not heard me over the last 3-4 games just moan and complain about Alejandro Osuna being on the bench. I really do feel like over the last 3-4 games, that has not been a major segment of my shows. That being said, truth be told, yeah, I'm disappointed that Alejandro hasn't gotten a lot of playing time recently. I know that a lot of Evan Carter truthers are going to point to today's game as the reason why it's been the right move all along. Again, let me see some consistency. I mean, this is a guy, again, that has 100-ish more plate appearances than Evan Carter this year, than Osuna, and has 2 more hits. It's 44-42 right now. Not great. Not great at all. I'm sad Osuna isn't going to get as much at bats now. Yeah. I mean, he's not. He's just in a tough spot. It really is. Darnell, I know a lot of people feel this way. A lot of people love Evan Carter. Evan Carter is a great dude. And that's the tough thing about this job sometimes is when you say facts about what's happening on the field, people confuse and twist it a little bit and think like you hate these players. I don't hate Evan Carter. I think he's a great guy. But yeah, you're batting, what is it on the year? A $190? Is it even that level? $193? You're batting a $193 in 272 plate appearances. You're batting a $193. Okay. It's not great. It's just not great. And so we got to see more consistency. It's a great game from Evan Carter today. Let's see some consistency. I feel like these like random homers from Evan, like it just feed the truthers for days. And I just am like, he's got to start doing this over a week, 2-week span. That would be what I would need to see to change my perspective on Evan. Is he a nice guy? Yes, he is. Does he play good defense? Yes, he does. Has he been a consistent hitter? No, he hasn't. I don't know how you could argue that. Is he a extremely valuable part of this team right now? No, he's not. In my opinion, Evan Carter is not an extremely valuable piece on this team. He's a nice piece. He's not totally like on the opposite side. He's not totally useless. But right now, no, I would not sit here and say this is an extremely valuable player right now in the Texas Rangers lineup. We keep on rolling. 2 for 4 with the home run and pinch. Jock 2 for 4 with the home run and got pinch hit for as well. Yeah, I mean, look, Jock had a great game today. It's exactly what they needed. When he goes yard in the very first at bat, it sets a tone. It really does set a tone. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think anybody is doing what you're saying here. I try to keep it PG, so I'm not going to read the comment. But I don't think that that's happening. I think that doing what that comment just said, trashing Evan Carter, would be me saying he sucks, he's a bum, DFA. I don't think that was the tone. I feel like we got to increase the threshold a little bit there. I don't think what I just said in any way is trashing Evan Carter. Trashing Evan Carter would be saying he's a horrible player that doesn't belong on a major league field. I don't think that's what we said about Evan at all. It doesn't matter if we're so basically what we're saying is, Blake, the facts hurt your feelings, right? The facts hurt your feelings a little bit. I mean, come on now. All I did was read stats on a page, and that's trashing Evan Carter to you? Come on, dude. There's a lot of people that get way too sensitive about Evan Carter. Blake, you and I are going to have to agree to disagree, but Blake, it's a little bit too much in your feelings for me, my guy. It's stats on a page. Evan Carter has 44 hits. Osuna has 42. And he's got 80 less at-bats, plate appearances than Evan Carter. Come on now. Again, if I was calling Evan Carter a bum, if I was saying he's trash, DFA him, get rid of him, you'd have a point. What I said very clearly is he needs to be more consistent at the plate. I really don't know how that's arguable. I don't know how it's arguable. And a lot of people are trying to make it about Carter Osuna. And admittedly, I have definitely done that because they are competing in my mind for playing time. Look, Evan Carter, I think, is definitely going to have a longer runway than Osuna ever will. Evan Carter's a first-round pick and obviously helped win the franchise its first championship. There's no doubt that Evan Carter is going to get a longer runway and more opportunity than Alejandro Osuna. It's just going to be that way, and I've accepted that. But I think what I've always tried to do with this debate is frame it beyond and outside of Osuna versus Carter. I think that's actually kind of the weak cop-out. It's not about Osuna versus Carter. What I've actually tried to steer people back towards is this what the Rangers expected out of Evan Carter at the beginning of the season? Can we just be honest about that? This is not what the Rangers expected out of Evan Carter this year. You think that their bar for Evan Carter was a 193 batting average? I mean, Blake, seriously, answer that question. Do you think that the front office is satisfied with Evan Carter hitting 193? I don't think that that's accurate. And I don't think that you can say that in good conscience. I don't think that they look at Evan Carter's season at the plate. Yes, dude, you're killing it. Come on now. Come on. Evan Carter is underperforming right now. I know that offends some people, but it's 100% the truth. He needs to do better. Did he have a great game today? 1,000%. Absolutely. Do I love, it doesn't make me chuckle to see the victory laps from the Evan Carter truthers after one good game? Yes, it does. It's one game. Just like whenever Osuna comes through with a clutch hit, which he's got plenty more than Evan Carter this year, if we're just being honest about that. Osuna has probably 3 or 4 times the amount of clutch hits that Evan Carter has this year. What do people say to me? Immediately when I get hyped up about something special that Osuna does, dude, it's one game. Like when he hit the home run, man, it's only one homer. Well, why don't we just be fair across the board? Evan Carter had one good game today. He needs to have 5 or 6 good games in a row. Not just one randomly in the middle of a 10-game stretch. I hope that we can get more consistency beyond Evan Carter out of a lot more of our players. Brandon Nimmo, good to see him being consistent. We have other guys. Jock Pederson, good to see him being consistent. And the same for Wyatt Langford as well. Consistency. That's what we need from this team. You're getting beat by the Angels 13-1, and then you're looking like one of the best teams in baseball the next day. You're losing to the Braves 15-1, and then you're coming back and you're looking like the comeback kids less than, 24 hours later. We got to be more consistent. That, to me, is the perspective that I have on not just Evan Carter, but on the entire team in general. The entire team in general, man. We keep on going. He'll be better than Osuna in the second half. That would be good. I hope so. Again, don't make it about Osuna. Make it about, in general, the production and his expectations. Definitely. More consistent, more competitive. He's hitting 278 over his last 7 games. Are we giving him the MVP, Blake? Is that what you want? Is that going to make you happy, buddy? Like, that's great. He's hitting 278 in his last 7 games. Great. How about do that for 2 or 3 weeks? Please. The disappointment with Carter is making people prop Osuna up a little bit more than they should. Osuna is more valuable than Carter in some ways than vice versa. That's great. That's great. Love to see it. I think that this is a pretty balanced take. And what people don't understand, I definitely know that some of you guys get this, but like, can we have some fun sometimes? Can we have a good time cheering for the players that, for whatever reason, we've really gravitated towards? I love Alejandro Osuna. Love the way he plays the game. I like Evan Carter a lot too. But it's just fun going back and forth with people about the Carter and Osuna stuff. See, that's the thing that some people don't get, is it's not that deep for me. It's really not that deep. And so when I see people getting so upset and frustrated about the Evan Carter Osuna debate, it's like, let's remember this is a game, man. Now, if you're going to ask me straight up who I prefer, I'd like to see Osuna getting more ABs. I really would. That is my personal preference. Regardless of the great debate and, you know, the war and the fan graphs and all that stuff, I'd love to see Osuna getting some more ABs right now. But he's not, and I understand why. And so I hope Evan Carter crushes it with the opportunities that he's getting. That is going to be what he needs to do in the second half in order for the Rangers to maintain this first place position. That is a massive lift. I will agree with this for sure. If Carter can actually hit 278 for the rest of the season, that's huge. That's huge. I've done videos in the past, and I know we're talking a lot about Carter today. We can move on here in a little bit. But I've done videos in the past, like when Carter plays and he plays at a good level, this team historically wins games. And so by no means do I ever root for Evan Carter to fail. That's the other part of the Osuna-Carter debate. I feel like people like root for Osuna to fail. Like it pisses them off to see him succeed. It doesn't really make me upset to see Evan Carter hitting home runs. If anything, it's joy. I'm glad because the Rangers need this, man. They need to have Evan Carter hitting bombs consistently. That's the only way this team is going to make an October run, is if players like Carter that were expected to contribute at the beginning of the year actually start contributing. Nobody's been consistent this year. Yeah, there's been probably Josh Jung, I would say, as the model of consistency at the plate. I don't think there's a whole lot of others. I mean, look, Nicky Lopez, not a qualified hitter. He's been pretty solid, batting .301 for a reason, right? But I definitely feel like Jung would probably be the only one you could say has been super consistent. We keep on going. Don't care about the name on the back of the jersey as long as they're helping the name on the front. Brian might be the gold comment of the night, my guy. Seriously. Seriously, that might be one of the best comments of the night. You could have any player in my mind on this team doing well, and I'm happy. As long as the Rangers are winning games, man. Of course, we have our own personal preferences. Of course, doing what I do, you've got to take a stance. You can't just waffle around forever and always try to be right. That's not going to work. Sometimes you make a prediction. Sometimes you have a take, and it's wrong. The Evan Carter debate, if you will, is only going to be answered fully at the end of the season, right? It's only going to be answered fully at the end of the year. Jake Berger, what's up with him? Yeah, let's look at Berger's numbers, shall we? Berger, 1 for 5 on the day, did have what should have been an RBI single. Really should have been. But Wyatt Langford really running conservatively on the base pass. 3 for his last 27. You know, Berger is such a streaky hitter, isn't he? He's such a streaky hitter. He's 9 for his last 59. So he is in a bit of a bad stretch right now. And look, another guy who's hitting in a prime RBI spot, unfortunately. I mean, Jake Burger is constantly hitting in the middle of the order and going 9 for your last 59. Not ideal. Last 15 games for Jake Burger, he has a 460 OPS. Yikes. Burger is the most infuriating player I've watched in a long time. Yeah. What else do we got? What did I miss? More Carter stuff. Thomas can't help us. I'm not a big fan of the Lane Thomas trade proposals I've seen. I think Thomas is kind of another. I don't want to say make it seem like I think he sucks, but I don't see Thomas elevating the offense. I feel like he's kind of more of the same of what we already have. Ethan, I'm not saying I would hate the move, but I'm just not seeing Lane Thomas as a great gift to the offense. That's just me. Carter hasn't been good since the end of 23. He's a great AAA guy, but struggles in majors. Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way. I see the potential with Carter, but right now we celebrate today. Great game from him, and we hope he can stay consistent. But Evan Carter, still a lot to prove. Definitely has a lot to prove. Let's keep rolling. 744 OPS is above league average, needs to be better, but I feel like people don't realize he's actually been playing better. Evan Carter's got a 744 OPS? Who's got the 744 OPS? Because I'm looking at the box score right now. Nobody has a 744. Is that like last 7 games? I mean, last 7 games. Yeah, sure. Carter's 653 OPS on the year. Carter 270, 10 for his last 37. Honestly, you look at these numbers, and I totally agree. Where was that comment from earlier? Lord Tubbington, you had a good comment on this. This is how I feel totally. If he can if he can give you this for the rest of the year, that's a huge win. That's what I'll keep going back to. That is a huge win. I will never know what to make of Jake Burger. We'll always root for a big dude who is deceptively fast, though. That's awesome. That's awesome. I like Jake Burger a lot. This is the tough part, man. There's so many good dudes. Evan Carter, Jake Burger. There's so many good dudes. But the problem is they're just inconsistent at the plate, man. The Jake Burger numbers are not good. I mean, Burger, 9 for his last 59. Woof. Hello. Nice hit today, though. Nice hit today. The thing with Berg, I think that I've always said that I think the Rangers do have to think about. He just does not walk, man. He does not walk. He has 3 walks in his last 15 games. This guy just does not walk. He's not getting on base if he's not getting a hit. And I think you would just love for your first baseman to be a little bit more of a walk threat, man. That to me, I think, is what Burger needs to work on more than anything. There's a lot of swing and miss with Burger, but then he just doesn't walk. I would love to see him take more walks, man. It's, again, 3 walks in 15 games, 3 walks in 62 plate appearance in his last 62 plate appearances, man. That's the tough part. He just doesn't walk. Do I think we can snag Hunter Goodman, McJay? It's always good to see you, man. No, I don't. And I think Hunter Goodman would take a king's ransom at this point. I don't think the Rangers are willing to pay crazy prospects for Hunter Goodman, as tantalizing as he is. I just don't see it happening. I think that the Rangers are crossing their fingers and saying their prayers for Malcolm Moore to pop. I think they are really hoping Malcolm Moore continues to do this. I do think we talked about last night on the show, we talked about Dalton Rushing. That could be an interesting piece. Put Osuna on first. That is an interesting idea. Burger does struggle with right-handed pitching, good right-handed pitching. Looking at the splits for him this year, I don't know if that'll necessarily hold true or not. It does hold true for sure a little bit. Here's Berger against lefties, 814 OPS. Berger against righties, 687 OPS. So that's actually a fairly substantial difference. You're basically an above average hitter, when you've got a lefty on the mound, and you're league average to below average against righties. There might be something to Osuna potentially platooning with Berger at first base. Remember, that was kind of the big thing that they talked about. Like, you had Osuna getting demoted and he was going to go down and learn how to play first base. And then nothing really ever came of that. I really am curious if it's a move that the club just is no longer going to be proceeding forward with. But I think it's actually interesting. Osuna at first base probably isn't my favorite thing in the world. I know that might be shocking to y'all, but it's actually not my most favorite thing in the world. I've said many times, I don't love short first baseman. Alejandro Osuna, definitely one of those short kings, man. He is, I think, 5'8", 5'7", 5'8". Like, I'm not a huge fan of the short first baseman. I like a bigger target, that is for sure. I mean, Jake Berger, pretty dang big target, man. Like, I mean, he's not super tall, like 6 foot, but look, everything matters over at first base when you're talking about stretches, you're talking about high throws. I definitely don't love Osuna at first base, but if you can find a way to get maybe Jake Berger in some more preferable situations, I don't think you platoon Berger straight up against righties. I think, though, if it's a tough right-hander, you consider it. If it's a team's 5th starter and they happen to be right-handed, I'd let Berger hack away. But, you think about some of the aces in the league, really, really tough right-handed throwers. I think that might be an opportunity where maybe you could put Jock in there at first base. Maybe Osuna, if he's ready at first base. I don't know what his development's been at the position, but I do think that it is a fair discussion. Could you platoon Jake Berger against tough righties? Jeffers, yeah, does nothing for me. The only players I really feel like that are doing anything for me are the guys on the Giants. Like Schmidt, Arise, Lee. Like, those 3 guys I feel like are the only ones that are really doing it for me. Buxton, if healthy. I know Buxton's on the IL right now, right? Like, that would be fun if he actually could stay healthy in a hypothetical situation. Yeah, I think, though, Jeffers and some of these other guys, I'm just not on the page. Lane Thomas, Jeffers, like, it's not moving me. It's just not moving me. I would love one of those 3 Giants players, Luis Arraez, Casey Schmidt, Lee. I think Lee is going to be a tough one because Lee makes a lot of money. I did not realize that Lee's contract was like 20 plus million a year. Totally had forgotten about that. So Lee is probably going to be a tough one because he makes a lot of money and this franchise is not wanting to spend a lot of money right now. But Casey Schmidt, Luis Arraez, those feel like manageable contracts. And those feel like splashy enough players to actually make a difference. Let's see. Ray on an expiring deal. Robbie Ray is actually like the perfect arm that I'd really like the Rangers to consider. I know that a lot of people are kind of turning their nose up at Robbie, but especially when you put him next to Logan Webb, who's awesome, right? But I think Robbie Ray is exactly the kind of arm that I've been talking about. You don't need to go get an ace. You don't need to, send Caden Scarborough. Again, if you want to go get Tarek Skubal or Logan Webb, you're not going to see me complain a ton, just being real with y'all. But I don't think the Rangers need to do that. Just go get a guy that is not going to implode every other start. And I know that might sound disrespectful to Mackenzie Gore, but that's kind of been what it's been for him. It's like one good start, one really bad start. This was not a great start for Mackenzie Gore. I think he ends up getting the win today, doesn't he? Isn't that is wild. That's why baseball is the weirdest sport, man. Mackenzie Gore gets a win today. I mean, It's just how it goes sometimes. The great Ron Washington. That's how baseball go, man. You pitch pretty bad and you end up getting a win. That's why you can't trust that pitcher record all the time. But Mackenzie Gore, he has yet to find consistency. That's kind of been the theme of the show today. There's just so many players that the Rangers badly need to stay consistent. Evan Carter quietly been raking this month. Hope it continues. I wouldn't say raking, but the last 7, last 15 numbers are very good. They're very good. And like we've said, if he can give you this over a consistent period, I think you'll take it. I think you'll absolutely take it. No doubt. Gavin Fiend is starting to pop off. Jeez. I don't even want to hear about how any of those other prospects are doing. Like, it just makes me upset. It makes me sad hearing about all these dudes that we traded away that are now getting promoted, getting the call to the show, killing it in the minors. Man. All right, what do we got? What else am I missing here? Gore cannot be a guy we have to use in Game 3 in the postseason. Blake, I know we've gone back and forth a little bit today, my guy, but we're in lockstep on this one. We are in absolute lockstep on this. I have said so many times, like, this is your Game 3 starter, Mackenzie Gore. Like, that's why Robbie Ray makes a lot of sense to me. Like, in a Game 3, is Robbie Ray going to go 7 shutout innings? Maybe. Charles, what's good? Totally agree with you. This was a pretty typical Mackenzie Gore game. Like, 4 good innings, 1 really bad one. Like, 4 solid, pretty solid innings. 1 or 2 that are just totally bad. But yeah, I think Robbie Ray, he's maybe not guaranteed to give you 7 shutout, but Robbie Ray is probably going to go 5 or 6 3 earned runs or less. Most starts. And I think you live with that in October. You don't need perfection. I just need to know that you're not going to totally soil the bed on me. And to me, when you're giving up 5 earned runs in 3 innings in a playoff game, and like we talked about, the Rangers are likely going to be in the wild card round, right? The wild card round is a 3-game series. So that means your Game 3 is winner take all if you make it that far. I do not want anybody in the rotation touching a Game 3 unless it happens to be DeGrom or Evaldi because of how things fall. Like, if the Rangers have to compete in Game 161 and 162, you might not be able to throw DeGrom. You might not be able to throw Evaldi Game 1, Game 2. But nevertheless, Mackenzie Gore in a Game 1 in a 3-game series, you want Mackenzie Gore throwing in Game 1 if Evaldi and DeGrom, have to pitch Game 160, 161, 162. No. Deploy Lats at that point. That might be a better idea. Hey, Latsy, just can you just throw all 9? Can you just go 9 innings, please? Darnell, I don't think Ray is perfect. I know we've been talking about him a lot today. I don't think Ray is a perfect fit, but I just think he's going to give you more consistency than Gore. I think that's the main point. And it doesn't have to be Robbie Ray for me, by the way. It doesn't have to be Ray. It just needs to be a guy that's been consistent this year. What does that mean? When you look at their game log, there's not a lot of 5 earned runs or more. There's a lot of, 3, 2, 1, maybe an occasional 4 or 5 spot. Not every other start like what we've been getting. Tigers said they aren't trading away Skubal. Is that right? Astros lose today is amazing. Amazing. It's a great day. Rangers have a lot of KC guys in the front office. They drafted Brady Singer. Watch out for that move. There you go. Soriano would be nice from the Angels. Would they trade in division? I mean, I know they did it like with Josh Hamilton, but that kind of felt like a bit of a special circumstance, right? I know they did it with Hambone, but I just don't know if the Angels are going to trade us in division. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens, man. Curious to see what Monty looks like. I am too. I'm not really counting on him to be great. Would I love him to be great? Yes. Am I counting on him to be great? Probably not. I think that if he can eat up some innings for you, what I would compare or equate Montgomery to and what Rangers fans should expect, like if he can be 2025 Pat Corbin, that's a win. Like I don't think based on the contract, based on the history with Montgomery, what he did last year, 24. Last year he was hurt. 2024 was a really bad year for him. He really hasn't been a above average pitcher since 2023. Like if we can just get Patrick Corbin performances in 2025 for Montgomery in 2026, I'll take that. Serviceable arm. That is the bar that I'm setting for Jordan Montgomery. If he comes back and looks like, Monty in the ALCS against the Stros, my goodness, that would be incredible. I think you keep your expectations low, and you never know. Maybe this dude is going to look like Cy Young himself when he gets to Arlington. I'm not counting on it, but I would love to see it, man. And he could be. You're right. He might be a bullpen piece eventually. Monty, I think, will be back. Slat, what's good? Thanks for the comment. I think Monty will be back within the next couple of weeks if all goes well, right? If all goes well, I think that is the plan. So hopefully he'll have a good start. I guess he's pitching tonight. I feel like I've gotten so many different runaround news about Montgomery, Bradford, when they're pitching. I guess I'll look it up. Apparently he's pitching right now. So we'll see if I can pull this up. Game day. Oh, Vegas is in Round Rock right now. Okay, cool. Aviators. Yep, Montgomery is starting tonight. Okay, game hasn't started quite yet. 5:05 start time. I think within a couple of weeks. I really do. I think a couple of weeks he will be back and he'll probably take over, obviously, that fifth starter role. Cody Bradford a little bit behind him, right? But I think that fifth starter role will be Montgomery's. When Cody Bradford gets back, they'll have to do a little bit of evaluation. I'm very interested to see how they use him in the AAA ramp up that they're doing. Are they going to just exclusively start Cody Bradford, or are they going to mix him in some different roles? I don't know if a lot has been publicized on that, what their plan is. I'm very curious what Cody Bradford's usage is going to be like on this rehab assignment in the minor leagues. I think you'll be able to kind of tell what the Rangers are planning on doing with him based on how they're using him on this rehab stint. Like if you're seeing him dump into relief a lot, that'll probably be a tell. If you're seeing him start a lot of games, obviously that's a tell. I think right now, having Bradford in the bullpen probably is something that I would like. If he, really, really crushes it in this rehab assignment, of course, you can always reevaluate. But right now, it kind of makes sense. You're getting Montgomery back, get Cal Quantrill back into that long man relief role. And then with Cody Bradford, I kind of see him as like Latz 2.0. And now, obviously, you're not closing with Cody, but you can kind of have him be another lefty, maybe leverage arm that can go more than 3 outs. Clearly, Jacob Latz has the 9th inning, and nobody is going to be competing with him for that. But I kind of like the idea of Cody Bradford as like multi-out leverage guy more than, or multi-inning, I should say, leverage guy. I think that could be interesting, but I think we've got to see what it looks like in the minor leagues on this rehab assignment. Bet Bradford isn't stretched out and they use him in the pen. That's kind of what I see too. It's kind of what I see too. Let's see. Yeah, good old Merrill Kelly, right, Brian? Good old Merrill Kelly. I don't know what CY's got up his sleeve this year, but man, if we could avoid another Merrill Kelly-esque trade, that sure would make my day. Like that would be nice. Could we avoid giving up 3 top 15 prospects for a guy that had almost a 4 ERA and turned around and re-signed with the team that we traded with? Hoping we can trade, Slat says, for a catcher and a bullpen pitcher. Bullpen is number one priority. I do think catcher is probably set. If they go get a catcher, that is a big admission of failure with Danny Jansen. And then Elias Diaz, kind of a slap in the face for how well he's been playing. I really don't think the Rangers are going to go get a catcher. I know that that's kind of definitely something a lot of fans talk about. And look, I want to see the Rangers get a long-term plan at the catching position. Maybe it's Malcolm Moore, maybe it's not. But I don't want to see the Rangers continue to do the 1 to 2 year, veteran guys that are kind of over the hill. No offense to Higgy, no offense to DJ. I'm kind of done with this piecemeal strategy when it comes to the catcher spot. I'd really like to see the Rangers actually go and get a firm future plan. What's this spot going to look like for the next 5 years? Let's try and find a guy that can be an every year fixture, not 1 to 2 year contract guys who are, 30 plus and probably on the back nine of their career. What's a good trade package for Arise and Ray? We kind of were talking about this the other night. And look, admittedly, I'm not, resident expert on trade values and all this. But for me, Arise is, you're going to be paying $3 million or so for the rest of Arise's yearly salary. You're not getting him for anything beyond this year. It can't be a crazy prospect to get Luis Arise. Man, unless there is just an insane bidding war for this guy, I really don't know why you'd be giving up big-time prospects for a half season of Arise. Like, do I think a top 15 prospect is probably going to get it done? Yeah. I feel like if you send them a top 15, maybe you throw in a lower tier guy as well, maybe like a top 30. That should do it. Like, are we really giving up a top 10 prospect for Luis Arise? That doesn't feel right to me, but maybe that is going to be the price. I just don't know what the market is, and that market typically gets set when other teams start making their offers, right? That's when you start figuring out what the Giants are willing to take on him, and you start figuring out what it's going to take to get the player. I would not love seeing a top 10 prospect go for a half season of Arise. That, to me, would be disappointing. I think I could go top 15. Man, not much beyond that, but we'll see what happens. Luke Weaver would definitely be a guy that you'd have to pay a little more for because Luke Weaver is multi-year. Any multi-year guy, you're definitely going to have to be paying a bit more of a premium. That is for sure. Cam Cauley, Teodo for Arise and Ray. What's Ray's contract? Are both those expiring contracts? Are both of those expiring? I don't know. I'm not sure on Ray. I know Arise is. That feels like a little too much to me. It would be nice to have those guys back from the Gore trade. I think about that so often. Like, I follow all those guys like, Mitch Bratt and Cole Drake and David Hageman, all those guys. And it's just, you'd love to have them in the system right now. It's really unfortunate that we pulled the trigger on that trade. AJ Minter from the Mets would be nice. If Rays is expiring, then I definitely would not be giving up Teodo and Cauley. That feels like way too much. That feels like way too much. Maybe I'm being a little too picky. Please correct me. Feel free to disagree. I just don't know. You're giving up Cam Cauley and Teodo, who have a bunch of control and have made their major league debuts, for two guys that might not be with the team next year. It is the downside of trying to make moves. I mean, I guess, like I said, I don't claim to be resident trade value expert. But, man, you're asking me, would I rather have a half season of Robbie Ray or Cam Cauley and Teodo? I probably would rather have Cam Cauley and Teodo longer term. Jack Wheeler, look, there's so many different names that we could throw out. I know that it's going to start heating up here pretty quickly, isn't it? You're definitely going to see rumors and things of that nature start running around. Jack Wheeler, where is he at A-ball right now? Is he on one of the ACL teams or something? He's hitting pretty well, isn't he? Like last time I checked, he was like over 875 on the OPS. You're saying trade him? He's at rookie ball, McJay. You're saying trade Wheeler? Like a low-level A prospect is somebody that I would rather see the Rangers trade over some of these guys that are major league ready. I do think you can stomach trading away a guy in rookie ball or an A ball over a guy that, you know, is close or has already made their debut. Look, we were going off about Carter and Osuna earlier. I think Osuna could be trade bait. I really think Alejandro Osuna could potentially be trade bait. When you think about it, I mean, let's just talk about this logically, right? He's really blocked at every position. Like Langford, Carter, and then Nimmo, right? And even if you, like, let's say you think Carter is going to fall on his face, which obviously nobody's hoping for, you know, is somebody else going to be preferred to take over center field for Evan Carter? I would think they like probably Cam Cauley in center field better than Osuna. Like I would think that maybe even like a Sebastian Walcott could be an interesting outfield option with how athletic that dude is. I mean, we're talking 80 grade athleticism from Walcott. I know that he's probably going to take over for Seager at shortstop. We're just spitballing here, but like, it's really tough with Osuna. I don't see a great path for him. I really hope we don't trade him either, Nate. It's hard for me. You guys who have been following me for a while, you know this. I love that dude, but I do think it would be a little odd if they weren't throwing him around as a potential trade option. The middle infield thing, too, I agree with you. I do think that you think about Smith, you think about Duran. And look, Duran, he's had a nice year this year, but he might be a guy that you sell high on. I don't think that would be the worst thing in the world. You've got Cam Cauley. Like I said, you've got Josh Smith. You know, you've got Nicky Lopez, albeit on a contract that's expiring. And you've got Ezequiel Duran. I would think that you would probably want to use one of those as trade bait as well. Walcott in 4-5 will be a right fielder. Could see that. This was me just being funny, man. It was totally me being funny. When Mackenzie Gore gave up the home run to Eli White. Freaking Eli White, man. That dude was terrorizing us all game long. Come on. Eli White was a fun player, man. He, like, honestly, like, clearly he's not a World Series champion, but Eli White, I mean, his whole thing, man, was just elite defense out there in center field. And he's getting an opportunity with another team, and he's doing his thing. But, man, he is fast as all get out. Watching him fly around out there in the outfield. And he would do it for the Rangers, too. Like, I think that you have a lot going around right now with rumors, but with this tweet that I threw out, it was just totally me being humorous. Like, Mackenzie Gore gave up the 2-run bomb, and I'm like, CY's got to be on the phone with Sam Fran, like, right now. Like, he's got to be on the phone. We've got to get some reinforcements. Mackenzie Gore in a winner-take-all game 3 ain't going to do it. Give them Smith. I know a lot of people are not on the Josh Smith train right now. Maybe they are. I just don't get to hear from them. I know there are some people that really love Josh Smith, and I'm a Josh Smith fan, but Smith's in the right place right now. He's definitely not swinging a good bat this year. If we are, looking at his path and his career, I've said so many times with Smitty, I think they just made a mistake making him an everyday player. I think if they would have kept him in the utility role going into this year and had a different plan at second base, I really think that Josh Smith's trajectory this year would have been a lot different. I just feel like it was a pretty big mistake making him and elevating him to second base every day Josh Smith's value comes in his ability to play multiple positions, and his value also comes in filling in for players and giving you league average hitting. When you are wanting Josh Smith to be an everyday contributor, and that's all he's going to do is play second base, now you've taken away some value and you've elevated pressure for him. And so I just think it was a bit of a recipe for not disaster, but just a recipe for not being successful. And I just think that if they can take down the expectations a little bit with Josh, obviously he's got to hit well in AAA. We'll have to monitor that and see how he's doing, but he's got to hit well in AAA. I think if they can just get him back to what he's been doing the last couple of years, which is filling in all over the field, giving you league average offense, I think that is going to be a lot more advantageous for Josh Smith and his career, and also for the Rangers. I was going to say Duran earlier. He is controllable, and some people have pushed back whenever I mentioned Duran. Some people have said he is controllable. You know, he's cheap, so keep him. Yeah, but that's kind of the point, right? That's what makes him good trade bait. He's controllable and he's cheap. That's why he would be a good trade potential. I think there's two ways to look at it. Duran, Cauley, Smith, Jansen for Trout. Those of you that have hung out with me for a while, I've been doing this for a few years now, you know Mike Trout is one of my favorite non-Rangers to watch play the game. Like I have loved watching Mike Trout play the game in his career. And I wish that Trout would not be so loyal, man. That dude is just so loyal to the Angels. It's sad. I respect it, but man, I feel like we've been deprived of seeing that guy in October. We got 1 year of it in whatever it was, 2012, 2013. And the dude hasn't been back since. It's crazy. It honestly is crazy. But Mike Trout, just the injuries scares me a little bit. And the contract, man, that is such a big contract to take on. I can't see Ray Davis and CY wanting to pay that much. Ty France is interesting. I probably would say stick with in-house or reboot it next year. But definitely a guy I'll keep my eye on. I'm going to have to create a list here. You do have to spend money to win. You do. That is true. No way at this point I would trade for Trout, David says. David, what's good, man? I love Trout too. I would be very hesitant to trade him unless you're giving away pennies on the, the vice versa of that, I guess. Sorry, long day. Like, unless it's pennies on the dollar, I can't see it happening. Now, I do think with Trout's contract, you're definitely not going to have to give up as much with the prospects, but still going to be considerable. A Nate Lowe reunion. Now we're going into the deep cuts. A Nate Lowe reunion. I love Nathaniel, but man, I don't think he's doing a whole lot for us. You know, he's hitting 800 right now with the OPS. He'll probably come back to Arlington and, start doing the 700 or the 650 thing. Ohtani was smart. He said to hell with the loyalty. He was, man. Look, and Trout was a big reason why Ohtani signed with the Angels. I think Ohtani saw the writing on the wall, man, and it was a good move. Good for him. I mean, look, I know we hate on the Dodgers a little bit because of how good they are, but how much freaking money they spend. But yeah, Ohtani definitely had the right idea. That is for sure. Yeah, Brian makes a good point. This will be an interesting deadline with the trade deadline on the 3rd. Then you've got, the off season and everything going on with the lockout. It is going to be curious to see how different GMs and how different teams operate around the league. Miller, best closer in baseball. I think that the Mason Miller move is really interesting, but man, that creates kind of an awkward dynamic, doesn't it? You got this all-star closer, and now you're going to, You're going to make Mason Miller a setup guy. I mean, or you're going to make them do a committee thing. I don't know. I think that it might be a possibility, but man, it feels like that could create a dynamic maybe that you don't want. You would hate to screw up what Latz is doing right now. You would hate to mess with his rhythm and flow in any way. I just really feel like if you bring in Miller, you got to boot Latsy to a setup role. I don't think you're going to bring in Mason Miller and make him your 7th or 8th inning guy. Like, I would just hate to mess with Latz. Like in a perfect world, yeah, you get Miller, you move Latz to like high leverage lefty in the 7th or 8th, but that's assuming a lot. You know, that could really, I think, mess with a good thing that you've already got going. Latz goes back to being an 8th inning guy if you get Miller. Look, I would love to have Mason Miller. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I worry Jacob Latz, suddenly doesn't look as good in a different role. I know maybe it's totally unfounded. It's just a gut feeling that I have. So full disclosure. But if they go get Mason Miller, I'm not going to complain. If they go get one of those types of dudes, I'm not going to be complaining. They go get Miller or Skubal or Logan Webb, I'm not going to be complaining, man. I will not be at all. Gore, Seager, Osuna, Walcott for Ohtani. The Rangers really should have made a pitch to go get Ohtani. I was just talking about this with my wife. We were watching a game, and I watch baseball all the time, even if it's not Rangers. And the Dodgers were on. Ohtani was up to bat, and they've got obviously like the advertising like crazy, like tons of Japanese advertising, and I was looking up how much Ohtani is bringing in in advertising and all of that, the marketing side of it, right? And the Dodgers are just so clearly going to come out well on that contract. Like, they are going to make way more off Ohtani, I think, than even what he signed for, which is ridiculous. And look, even if he would have gone smaller market, granted, I don't think DFW is really a small market, right? But even if he would have gone to, let's say like the Nationals, it's kind of a smaller market team, right? Washington, D.C., there still would have been a ton of eyes and a ton of money to be made. I just really feel like a lot of teams seeing what Ohtani has brought to LA and the Dodgers. Yes, it's the Dodgers. Yes, it's LA, but Ohtani is just such a massive presence. I really think anybody that would have signed him would have been making up way more than what they actually ended up paying him. But look, we're talking about a pipe dream right now. That would have been fun, though. Remember in 23 when the Ohtani trade talks were like kind of heating up and the Rangers were potentially in on it? This was, again, before we had won a World Series. Ohtani was in the last year of his contract with the Angels, and the Angels actually decided to hang on to him, didn't make the playoffs. Rangers were actually in on trade discussions. That would have been crazy. That would have been wild. Who knows if they still win the World Series? I'd like to think they would have. Yeah, I don't see, how that goes badly having Ohtani on the team, but you never know. You never know. Webb and Lee are off limits in trade talks. I feel like Robbie Ray and Casey Schmidt are the guys that I would probably say are most realistic. The BS switch of streaming apps in the middle of a season, man, I feel bad. All of the locals that are doing the Victory Plus thing now having to switch to Buzzer. It's just annoying. And I've been seeing screenshots of issues and problems. Hopefully it'll smooth itself out, but just not great. We talked about this a lot last night. It's never great in the middle of a season to make a switch like this. Not ideal. I am definitely on the side of the organization needs to take the most heat for this. They've now had 3 different distributors in a 2-season span, going back to even before the Victory Plus, right? It was, Bally, Diamond, whatever it was, and then it's Victory Plus. Now we're getting Buzzer. Who knows how long Buzzer is going to work out. They've got to get a long-term solution. And they can deflect blame to Victory Plus. Oh, they're not paying the bills. A part of getting into business with somebody is risk assessment. It's crazy to me that like a year and a half later, Victory Plus isn't making payments. Like there was no writing on the wall at all. This is just out of nowhere that this business might not be long-term sustainable. That to me feels weird. If you're going to go into business with Victory Plus, I got to think you're doing your homework backwards and forwards 5 times over to make sure that Victory Plus is actually a sustainable product. I blame the organization the most for going into business with a company that clearly was not healthy, right? That's just my take. You can disagree, agree. It's just my take. The Rangers got to figure it out. They've got to figure out a way to have a consistent distributor. Maybe it's MLB and you take a little less money. Shoot, you're not spending it anyways. They cut payroll this year. That was the funny thing. You had a lot of people defending the club by you're going to be the same guy that complains when the Rangers don't go get any free agents next year. Dude, they did this deal with Victory Plus so that they could make more money. And then this year, they actually spent less money with Victory Plus. You might as well have gone with MLB and had a consistent product that didn't disrupt fans and their viewing experiences in the middle of the year. Yeah, it does make me wonder too. McJ says, just pay me $1 million and I'll make an RSN streaming app. Totally, man. There's got to be a more stable solution. Has to be. Oh, all right, y'all. Can't get it on my TV and have to cast it. That sucks, man. You shouldn't have to be rigging, the viewing experience. You should be able to get it on an app on your TV. I mean, yeah, I have a Fire Stick. I've had Apple TV. But look, I get it. Not everybody rolls that way. And to not have like Roku availability, so many Roku TVs out there, man. To not have Roku availability is very weird to me. Like, very odd. I don't know why you would have rolled it out without making sure it was compatible with every major app. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, I think, do have like Fubo or, YouTube TV, and they get the local stations like that. But, a lot of people are cutting the cord, and they're not really trying to do that kind of thing. They do like to pick and choose with different subscriptions here and there. Everybody rolls a little differently. Evo tomorrow, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I hope it works out. I think what people have to understand is, not even one person should have to be affected, right? Like, not even that's my thing when I see, there's a lot of oppositionists that I run into. Like, it doesn't matter if it's the worst thing in the world. You've got Rangers fans that are trying to spin it positively, right? Somebody is going down with an injury, they'll find a way to make it into a positive. Like, it's definitely sometimes a negative place, social media, but then I feel like you've got people that are disingenuous, always trying to be the eternal optimist. And so the people that are like, Buzzer's going to be awesome. It is great. You wait and see. I'm like, okay, weird take, like not needed. There's people that aren't getting to watch the games right now. Like, why even feel the need to post like you think Buzzer's going to be awesome? Like that's great. If you do, that's awesome. But what I focus on right now is there's some people not getting to watch games. Like, who cares whether Buzzer's going to be great or not? And it's not anything against Buzzer. Like, they just happen to be around. I know they have a connection. I know there's a strong connection with the front office and Buzzer. Totally get that. But I don't have hate towards the app over it. I just think it's a very bad decision in the middle of the year to go this direction when you don't have all fans accounted for, which means you have compatibility with every TV, with all the apps, and you're not putting anybody out, right? The same way that somebody watches on Victory Plus should have been covered with this switch, and it wasn't. It wasn't. Yeah, look, it does feel like during the cable days, it did used to be a little simpler. Unfortunately, the cable companies got a little greedy, and then you had all the competition with the streaming and, you know, the cord cutting. But it does feel like it was a bit of a simpler time when you just had cable and you just got all the channels you wanted. Yeah, Charles, I haven't even checked out the app. I don't really plan on watching the games through Buzzer. Obviously, I'm not local anymore. Lived in Arlington for a very long time, but not local anymore. So I just watch MLB TV. But I'll definitely count on you guys to let me know if it's still bad, getting better, staying the same. Let me know during all the lives. Obviously, we're going to be doing a few more throughout the course of the year. What would I trade for a rise? I said maybe a top 15 prospect, maybe a top 10, like closer to 10, obviously, than to 5. That would be me. Evaldi throwing tomorrow, that's good. I definitely feel like having him on the mound is going to give the Rangers a much-needed boost. Evo 9-7, 4.04 ERA. Holmes is on the mound for the Braves. Holmes has a 3.61 ERA, and he is 2.97 for the ERA over his last 6 starts, last 7 games. 5 innings, no earned runs against Pittsburgh last time out. 5 innings, 1 earned run against the Mets. 4 innings, no earned runs against San Francisco. So Grant Holmes is actually in a pretty good groove right now. I don't think there's many guys with a lot of ABs against him. Looks like Jake Berger is 3 for 5 with 2 bombs. Hello, Jake Berger. Maybe that's just what the doctor ordered. Evan Carter's 1 for 2. Diaz is 2 for 5. Josh Jung, 2 for 2. Wyatt Langford, 0 for 2. Brandon Nimmo, 1 for 5. Jock Pederson, 0 for 1. Evaldi against the Braves on the other side. Albies, 0 for 9. Baldwin, 1 for 2. Dubon, 1 for 10. Michael Harris against Evo, 3 for 8 with an RBI. Mateo, 1 for 4. Matt Olson batting 154. Lifetime, 13 ABs. Austin Riley, 2 for 10. Smith, 2 for 6. So nobody like totally crushing Evo. Nobody's hit a home run off of him in the Braves lineup. I'll knock on wood for that one. Don't want to get blamed. But by and large, pretty small sample sizes on both sides of the aisle. However, when you got Nasty Nate on the bump in a rubber match, you're always going to feel pretty good about that. Would agree with this. You would love to see the bullpen get a little bit of a breather tomorrow. Have Evo go a strong 7. That would be great. Another Evo gem would be phenomenal. Do you think we have a shot against the Mariners? Can we win the 4-game set? Yeah, I think the Rangers have played very competitively against Seattle. I don't feel like Seattle is an unstoppable force. Now, are they a good team? I do think they are. I know they're a losing team right now, but yeah, I think that the Rangers can hang against the Mariners in a 4-game set, no doubt. And by the way, coming up next, White Sox starting on Monday, right? Mariners are Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Rangers are off on Thursday, I believe. Yes, off on Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, White Sox, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Seattle. So 3-game series, or are they playing on Monday? Let's see what is Monday. Oh, wow, it is a 4-game set. So it's a Friday through Monday series. That's kind of weird. That is kind of weird. And then they go to Tampa Bay to play the Rays. With Monty and Bradford coming off the IL, who gets moved around? Well, I mean, they're going to send down like Corniel, right? I mean, Corniel is going to get moved down. I do think that Rocker is going to be interesting. Rocker is a guy that you could send down to AAA. I know Rocker has been good at times, but he's also looked a little rough at times. If Montgomery and Bradford are crushing it, I do think there's a possibility Rocker could go down. But while there's all these injuries, like, Jack Leiter, obviously is another guy, I feel like Rock probably stays up while Leiter is down. But if you get Montgomery and Bradford back, I don't know. We talked about this. Do you want 3 lefties in the rotation? I mean, that is definitely a matter of opinion. At some point, you got to go with who your best guys are anyways, but what that would mean, Gore, Bradford, and Montgomery. Jack Leiter is getting his spot back for sure when he comes back. I do think Rocker might be an interesting one to watch, depending on how he plays over the next month. But yeah, Corniel, maybe Kumar. And then you think about some of the other rookies that are out there too. I think Peyton Gray probably sticks around. Is Robbie Alstrom going to hang? I know he came in today, gotten out. Is Robbie going to be a guy that you hang with through the season, or is he going to potentially be a guy that you send down? I could see Alstrom being a send down candidate, not necessarily because he sucks or he's terrible, but I think it's just kind of odd man out situation. Johnny, what's good? We did talk about first base a little bit. Berger's just on a bad run. He is better against lefties than righties. We kind of talked about, could you maybe platoon him against a tough right-hander, maybe put Jock at first base. We threw out, Osuna. I know he'd been working at first base at different times this year. Don't know if Osuna's a great first base option, but I do think the Rangers at the end of the season are going to have to reflect on 2 years of Jake Burger. As good of a dude as he is, as great as he is for the community, I do think Texas is going to have to figure out, is this guy the answer at first base, right? He's so lovable, such a good guy to have in the clubhouse, but this is not, unfortunately, it's not based on that, right? You got to perform in the big leagues. And so I do think they have a tough decision to make. Devin, absolutely. Maybe a 6-man rotation to save arms for the old guys. McJ, it's interesting, but I just don't think that is going to work out well. 6-man rotation, it sounds good for a second, but then you have to consider, what goes into it. Once you go 6-man rotation, you're instantly taking away a bullpen arm, right? You're instantly taking away another guy out in the pen. And so if that 6th man in the rotation totally soils the bed, you're automatically really putting everybody else out over the course of a week or 2 series. And so for me, I think 6-man rotation probably wouldn't be the best thing for them to do. You want to have an additional bullpen arm, especially with how close of games the Rangers play. That's the other thing. Like, if the Rangers had a really good offense, I would probably be more open to a 6-man rotation. This team plays so many close games. Going to a 6-man rotation would just be really tough because they're constantly having to use their top arms to win games. Look at today. So that would be, for me, not a great thing to do, but I understand the reasoning why fans would want to consider it. I just think the reality is this team plays way too many close games. You really need to have another bullpen arm out there. I do think Bradford could kind of be like a Latz 2.0. Obviously, Latz is going to stay the closer, but I think Bradford could be like a multi-inning leverage lefty for you before you get to Latz. I don't know how they're going to employ him. Maybe they're going to try and extend him out, make him a starter. Not sure. What else we got? I'm just looking through all the comments right now. Jung to third. What context am I missing here? I will never watch another game on TV because they left Victory Plus. Ty, don't do it, baby. That's a tough punishment for yourself, man. You want to watch Rangers baseball. I know it sucks. I mean, I don't know what the best option is. Honestly, I think I read a comment on this, and it probably makes the most sense. The best option is probably to buy MLB TV and use a VPN if you want to stick it to the Rangers a little bit, because they're getting more money through Buzzer and through Victory Plus than they're getting through MLB TV subscriptions. So if you want to stick it to the Rangers, the plan would probably be buy MLB TV, don't buy the Buzzer subscription, and then get a VPN. That was a comment. I did not come up with that idea organically, by the way. That's a comment I read. I think it was on X the other night. That would definitely give them a little less money. Hey, look, you could do that too. I'm trying. I was trying to not go like totally non-legal options, but yes, of course, there are many viewing options out there that don't involve you necessarily having to put money in the Rangers' pockets or in MLB's pockets. That is most certainly true. I'm gonna have to check that out though, Earth Rider. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. What else? Anything else? Truly believe we can compete for the AL. They need to go all in. I really do think that is the best plan this year. If you can really go all in and maximize the window, I've said it so many times, like you either need to do one thing or the other. You either need to go all in and try and win, or you need to sell. You can't just be in this weird middle area where you're going to do like some soft buying and soft selling. It's not going to work. You've got to get either one or the other. Buy, sell. Don't be in the weird gray middle area. I think you got DeGrom, you've got Evaldi, you've got, some other players that are obviously underperforming right now. Either go all in and try and win it, or try and get some prospects and reload the farm system. Let's see. Oh, Jung to first base. Yeah, I do think that's going to be potential for. I think that is going to be something the Rangers think about. Moving him to first base is definitely an option now. I mean, if you've seen Moneyball from the great Ron Washington, fictionalized, of course, first base is not an easy position. And Josh Jung is struggling this year at third base. So I think it's another thing that sounds nice. Hey, move him to first. First base is a tough position to play. There's a lot going on at first base. You're kind of a leader out there in the infield. It's not the easiest position to latch onto. That is for sure. If all in means trading Walcott, I'm out. I think it probably means trading Scarborough, but I don't think you necessarily have to trade Walcott. It might mean trading Rojas. Gio Rojas, obviously, the draft pick that the Rangers got in the first round this year. It might mean trading him. I think you can keep Walcott, though. I think the Rangers have enough. You could go get a splashy player and not have to trade Walcott. You've got Scarborough. You've got Gio Rojas, the pick, obviously, this year in the first round. I'm not saying the Rangers should do that. I'm just saying I think that they have enough where they could get by without it. Higher on Rojas than Scarborough? I probably am too, Ethan. I just wonder what other execs around the league think. We should have went all in the offseason. That I totally agree with. I totally agree. The offseason trades and free agency was what the Rangers really should have done. And look, there's some good things that the Rangers missed out on. Like, Kyle Tucker's getting paid a ton of money and is not having an elite season for the Dodgers. So, there was some Kyle Tucker talks last offseason. Probably a good thing we missed out on Kyle Tucker. You can. I mean, I think maybe not at the deadline, but maybe in the offseason. I don't know. Blake, I'm honestly not sure on this one. So we'd have to look this up. Can they trade Gio Rojas after drafting him, a few days ago, like last weekend? That to me, I'm not sure about. I am learning more and more as the longer I do this, but that I do not know about. Now, look, if I'm not mistaken, can't you call those players up, though? You can't trade the actual pick. I was about to say, because didn't the Angels, they drafted, I think it was Shanuel, right? Didn't the Angels draft Shanuel 3 years ago, and then 2 months later he was in the bigs? So to me, I feel like it probably is possible to do that, but I'll try and look it up. See if we can get a firm answer. All right. Jung to first base isn't a bad idea to try. All right. That, to me, is definitely going to be one of the things I think the Rangers talk about in the offseason. What do we do at first base? Do we stick with Berger? And then on the flip side, you guys know, JJ's had a great bat this year, great offense, but man, he has struggled in the field. I think the Rangers have to get more athletic at third base. So we'll see what Texas decides to do. Walcott to third would be welcomed. I think Walcott to third makes a lot of sense, especially if Corey Seager is going to refuse to move off shortstop. I mean, in the meantime, Zeke Duran plays a pretty good short. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting deadline and an interesting offseason, especially with the lockout and all that stuff going on. Google says they can't be traded until after the World Series. Interesting. But it just doesn't make sense to me. You can call them up, right? You can call them up to play in the big leagues, but you can't trade them till the offseason? It's weird. It's a little different. I have to do some more homework on this. All right, y'all. We've been going a long time. I'm going to hop off. Hope you guys have a great rest of the night. Maybe I'll try and get a video out at some point this evening. And then after that, game pretty early tomorrow. We'll be doing our show, probably 9th inning again, 8th, 9th inning, something like that. And then we're on to Chicago. Well, at least Chicago's on to Arlington. We're on to the series with Chicago, I should say. Hopefully the Rangers can get a win tomorrow, win the series, and then you go play a pretty good White Sox team led by Will Venable, former Ranger coach. It's going to be a good one. Looking forward to that for sure. Appreciate all you guys hanging out. Bando Monty will be in the rotation. Bradford in the pen. New CBA is expected to trade draft picks like others. What do we do with Bradford and Monty? Okay. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. I think Bradford, maybe you throw him in the pen. I think Monty's probably going to be a rotation guy. All right, y'all. Yep, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully you'll come back and hang out. If not, maybe I'll see you for the White Sox series. But either way, have a great rest of the weekend. And as I always say to end every show, God bless and go Rangers.